Question for you. Do you respect other people's worldviews even if they differ from your own? Usually I'm sure you do, but are there not extreme examples where you have to draw the line? If somebody tells you that the Earth is flat, then do you still respect that belief even if it's obviously and objectively wrong? If someone tells you that Ted Bundy was a good person, do you still respect them? Do you still have an open and honest discussion with them without saying mean things to them? Even when they're supporting one of the most evil serial killers in human history? What if somebody thinks that homosexuality is a sin and that all gay people have to be shot? Can you still respect that? Are you still able to have a debate and discussion with that person in which you respect what they believe? I don't doubt that some people watching this genuinely said yes to all of those questions. They genuinely can be nice to and respect somebody regardless of what they believe, regardless of how extreme it is. But there are also some people who would not be able to resist the urge to make fun of a flat earther or yell at a homophobic person. And I'm not going to shame anybody for either perspective. If you genuinely can't be nice to someone who hates gay people or supports a serial killer, you know, I don't blame you, especially if you're gay and or knew a victim of Ted Bundy. Under that circumstance, I don't think anybody should ever be able to ask you to be nice to somebody who supports homophobia and or serial killers. But if you can still be nice to and be friends with people like that, that's fine as well. The respectful camp is probably saying stuff like, oh, you can't change somebody's mind if you're being mean to them, or, oh, it's a basic human decency to respect others' beliefs. Or perhaps an appeal to radical skepticism. Radical skepticism is the idea that you can't prove anything could be an illusion. And of course, because a believer in radical skepticism keeps in mind that everything could be fake, it would therefore be a lot easier for them to respect the beliefs of other people regardless of what they were. But the disrespectful camp could be saying stuff like, oh, you just have to tell them what they need to hear, and if their ideology involves harming other human beings, then I have no obligation to be nice to them. They might even say that respecting and taking seriously an ideology so evil would legitimize it a bit in the eyes of others, and onlookers who haven't yet decided that the ideology is evil would be more willing to consider it if they see that somebody else is taking it seriously, or at least seems to take it seriously. Therefore, they'll argue it might be better to make fun of and be mean to people who are wrong to prevent other people from ever thinking it's a good idea. Editing Ben here, something I forgot to mention is that the somewhat disrespectful camp might accuse you of false balance. False balance is when one side is obviously wrong and one side is obviously right, but you still give equal credence to both sides. You take an unbiased stance even though one side's obviously right, and if one side's obviously right, then taking an unbiased stance is being biased. So let's say a news station invites two people on. One thinks climate change is real and one thinks climate change isn't real, and gives them both the exact same amount of time to explain their perspectives. That's false balance because climate change is objectively real, and every second we spend debating about whether or not climate change is real is a second we spend not responding to climate change. So in that case, being balanced, being unbiased, giving equal credence to both sides is harming the world because you're delaying the response to climate change. There is also that to consider. For me, the thing that seals the deal is, what makes you more likely to change their mind? If being mean and yelling at somebody makes you more likely to change their mind, I think we should do that. But if you have to be nice to somebody to change their mind, then I'll also be willing to do that. So I checked, I can't find any studies investigating whether or not you have to show respect to somebody to change their mind. But anecdotally, I've had people change my mind on several occasions, and quite often they were very, very mean to me. And that isn't to say that respect can't work. I've also had people changing their minds and they were perfectly nice to me, just objectively explaining the facts, and eventually I saw their way of thinking. So I want you all to think of anecdotes in which somebody changed your mind and they were nice to you, and anecdotes in which someone changed their mind and changed your mind, and they were mean to you. I want you to give detailed descriptions of what happens. Obviously don't name or dox anybody in the comments. So give those detailed descriptions in the comments, and I'll look at the common denominator to see whether or not respect has a genuine effect on whether or not you're more likely to change somebody's mind. And maybe I'll make a follow-up video, or maybe we'll just leave it in the comments. Who knows? Alright,